I don't know how to start this video, but it reminds me of the fat girl with the BLM with the fist on her face. We are in 2025, and as you can tell through the title of the video, my face, my whole outfit, and the flags, we are going to go through 8 of the English fighters and who I believe they should be put against next. Now, this is my opinion. It is not factual. Maybe some of these fights have been made. I'm not too sure. These are the English fighters and who I believe they should be put up against next in 2025. The first fighter is the most famous fighter in the UFC. It is, of course, I can't even click on it. It is, of course, Tom Aspinall. He's the current interim heavyweight matey. He holds the belt, and for some reason, is the interim. I don't know why they had the belt there, but I don't really like the interim unless they're fighting for the title next, which he didn't. And of course, Tom Aspinall is going to face every single person that beat Tony Ferguson. I'm joking. It's Jon Jones. It's the most obvious match to make. If it's not the case they're going to do that, it's ridiculous. Either Jon Jones retires or he fights Tom Aspinall. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Tom Aspinall is the #1 contender. He's not even a #1 contender. He's actually the interim heavyweight champion. So you have to fight him. The Stipe fight was redonkulous. It was just like, who cared about that? Who cared, brother? Who cared? This is the real fight to make. This is the fight that makes the most sense in the whole of my English UFC 8 card pick for 2025. I generally do think Tom Aspinall gets the win. So it is 1-0 to the English. Hey, lads. That's terrible. It's like I've never seen a football game in my life before. The next one is, hey lads, hey. I threw a lotion bottle at you, lads. What are you going to do now, lad? You're fighting prelims, lad. Why on the main card, lad? Didn't age well for Paddy Pimblett against Topuria there with the old Vaseline throwing P. Diddy bro tight ting, fam. Because Ilia Topuria knocked out Alex Volkanovski and Max Holloway. And to be fair to Paddy Pimblett, his last win was really good, but he's had shaky wins prior to that. I think it's time to put Paddy Pimblett up the ranks. I think it's time that we need to push him now. He's kind of got his hand held throughout fighting with the people he's fought against. Now it's going to top contenders. We need someone that shows that Paddy Pimblett deserves to be potentially in the top 5. And this is why I'd put Michael Chandler. The reason why Michael Chandler is because he's just come off a loss. It was a very one-sided fight. But he's still very agile for his age. He's explosive and he's entertaining. There's no boring Michael Chandler fight. He will go out on his shield. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's either the fact that Paddy's going to catch him with a rear naked choke or some form of submission, or Michael Chandler is going to knock him out. And I generally think that Chandler is going to start swinging like a madman and knock out Paddy Pimblett. Paddy does not have good stand-up whatsoever. He's great on the ground, pause on that, but he doesn't have amazing stand-up. So I'm going to go Chandler. I do think this might be a little cop-out for Chandler because he was promised that McGregor fight for so long, and now he's fighting Paddy Pimblett, or on this card, he would be fighting Paddy Pimblett. I do think it's somewhat of a cop-out for Chandler, considering how long he waited for McGregor. But hey, you know, England, Ireland, it don't matter. Dublin, Moscow, New York, Brooklyn, it don't matter. Same location. So I think Chandler wins that, in my opinion. So it's 1-1. Now, this is my favorite fighter in the roster at the moment. I've been supporting this man for many years, and I mean many years, several years. It is Mr. Future Mustache Champion himself. He's the only one with a mustache that can give us a championship belt, and it is, of course, Arnold Allen. Now, I would like to see Arnold Allen come back. He's had 2 losses, I believe. His last was a win. You know, he needs to go on strap season right now. And I think a good opponent for him is Brian Ortega. I don't know if Brian Ortega kind of hinted going up to 155 and then decided not to. I'm not too sure on that. But they're similar rankings. I think Brian Ortega is just a little bit higher than Arnold Allen. But I do believe that this would be a good fight next, considering everyone else is fighting above him. So an Arnold Allen versus a Brian Ortega would be a brilliant matchup, and I generally believe Arnold Allen would beat him. I think Brian Ortega's kind of past the mound hole right now. That isn't even a word, but just go with it for me. I just think Arnold Allen's really good as a fighter. He's good at his boxing, he's good at his kickboxing, he's good on the ground. It's just a shame that he got cheated against his last 2 fights that he lost. He's my Tony Ferguson of this era, to be honest. He's the English Tony Ferguson for me. Not for being the boogeyman, but being my favourite fighter. I still believe Tony. The next one is someone that lost his title. It's Rocky. Leon Edwards. Now, I would give Leon Edwards very quickly Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley had a great 2024. He just beat Colby Covington on the last card of the year of 2024. Quite a dominant performance by him. He's just had a resurgence of being a journey fighter to kind of just being slept under the rug to now actually dominating 2024 to be one of the best fighters in 2024. So props to him, and I think due to his performance in 2024, he should be aiming against someone in the top contentions, because brava, this is my list. But also all the other fighters have either just fought, or they are rumored to fight other people, or they are going against other people. I know Joaquin Buckley just fought, but he didn't really take any damage from Colby Covington, let's be real. Colby pillowcase hands Covington. I'm going to go Leon Edwards. The next one is actually a stylistic matchup from the heavens. Kind of like Anderson Silva versus Israel Adesanya, but actually would probably be entertaining and not boring like 80% of Israel Adesanya's fights. Is MVP versus Wonderboy, Stephen Thompson. Both really good at stand-up, and it won't be like a Kelvin Holland versus Stephen Thompson because MVP is known for a stand-up. It would actually be a really good fight in my opinion. But with MVP and Stephen Thompson, this is a must-win for both of them. I think if either of them lose, it's kind of like, what do we do with you now? If you win, it's like, okay, maybe we've got something for you. MVP just signed with UFC, essentially. I think he's had either 2 or 3 fights. He signed last year, but he is getting on. And so is Stephen Thompson. So this might be a retirement fight for Stephen Thompson. I'm not too sure. I think he's about 40, and I think MVP's in his late 30s. Or he might be 37, which is late 30s. But I do believe that this would be a really good, if it's Stephen Thompson's last fight, perfect last fight for him, or just a perfect matchup, which I'm going to go with MVP. I think MVP is more versatile. I think where he's just a little bit younger, it's kind of like, okay, we've got this in the bag. You know, you've come from a different promotion. He also has way more to prove than Stephen Thompson. Coming from another promotion, he still has to prove himself. Well, he lost against Ian Gary, and when I searched his name, I just realized he's actually matched against Bullet Magomedov, the guy with one eye, the pirate guy. I'm not changing my pick. Dana, you messed up there. Stephen Thompson versus MVP is a lot better fight than Bullet versus MVP. That's really depressing. Well, I'm not changing my pick, Dana. But I'd go with MVP here. I'd go for MVP. The next person is Leroy Murphy. I don't know much about him, I'm not going to lie. Don't know much about him. Yeah, Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett has one of the weirdest body types I've ever seen in my life. That is horrific, the way his abs are like. It is like one of his ribs broken. You can see the right there, like it's sticking out. I mean, I can't talk. I'm built like Zoidberg without a shell on, but god damn, he's got the weirdest body type in the whole of the UFC. I just realized Brian Ortega is he's not in shape at all. I'm not going to start glazing who has the best body here. But easily Ron Murphy. Or Chandler. Or Leon Edwards. Or Whacking Button. No, okay, I'm going to stop this. Josh Emmett, knockout power artist. I do know Josh Emmett. But Leon Murphy, I don't know. So I'm going to look up his record now just to have a little gander. I have seen him fight twice before, but I've not really taken in any information from him. Okay, so he's undefeated. He's 15-0 with one draw. He's gone against Edson Barboza and Dan Ige. I'm going to be biased and give it to Murphy just because he's more of the up-and-coming fighter. He has more to prove, whereas Josh Emmett is on his latter end of his career, just beating Bryce Mitchell. He's also 39, so that does play a factor into it. He's been in the UFC and MMA for bloody ages, so it does play a factor. Once upon a time, McGregor, the wise McGregor, the Mr. Mac himself, said Jose Aldo was like an old 29-year-old or an old 30-year-old because he's been in MMA for so long. And I feel like that might be the same with Emmett here. Emmett lost against Yaya Rodriguez and Topuria, but did knock out Bryce Mitchell. But I think where Murphy's undefeated, beating Barboza is not a Barboza. Edson Barboza. I'm thinking Captain Barboza. I think I think Murphy wins this just because he has more to prove. He's not at the latter end of his career. He's at his peak of his career. An older 39-year-old in Josh Emmett there. So I do believe, Your Honor, that Murphy wins. Now, the next one is Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood, bantamweight, I believe. I'm going to be honest with you. Give him Kron Gracie. Kron Gracie is just living off his surname. That is literally it. Kron Gracie just proves that soul-based jiu-jitsu, soul-based Brazilian jiu-jitsu, even with a Gracie name, means sweet F all when it comes to UFC, when it comes to MMA. And it does kind of prove the Sambo versus BJJ argument, because this bloke literally will just get on his back and try and get people to come into his guard. That doesn't work. They're just going to kick your legs a little bit, and then the referee's going to stand you up, and then you're just going to look absolutely dreadful while in stand-up. Whereas Nathaniel Wood is amazing at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, maybe not Gracie level, but still insanely good. Great at wrestling, great on his feet. I just want to see Kron Gracie get knocked out because the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu annoys me when they're just lying their back. And to be honest with you, we don't see it a lot. Charles Oliveira, amazing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He doesn't just lie on his back. Whereas Kron Gracie does not even pick up the fact that he actually has to throw his fists or his legs. It's just full, okay, let's lie on our back. And I think he trains with Nate Diaz. I think Kron Gracie changed it. So you would think they would have some form of like boxing style there. But hey, when someone grapples all their life, you can't really teach them how to throw a punch. They're just going to go try and grab your legs. Bit sus. The next fighter I want to see, I followed him for years prior to UFC. I really hope he does well because he has an amazing knockout against Felipe Silva. Look it up. Look up Sam Patterson versus Felipe Silva knockout. It is so brutally clean. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. Not only that, but Sam Patterson has a win over Kane Cowley, and I think his name is Keith Crosby. I find it funny. It's just both SBG or SBG, Straight Blast Gym, I think they're called. Conor McGregor's gym. So he has like some irrelevant beef and fighting Conor McGregor's training partners and just knocking them out or submitting them. I would like to see him against Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow's undefeated, but I want to see Sam Patterson tested. I want these fighters to rank up like it's a Call of Duty game. Jesus Christ. Apart from Nathaniel Wood. But then Kron Gracie, Kron Gracie just faced Bryce Mitchell. So if Kron Gracie's going against Bryce Mitchell, who's ranked, why not put Nathaniel Wood? And then it means the fact that he could go against a ranked fighter afterwards. Sam Patterson, I kind of want him, with all these fighters, I want them to progress up. That's why I'm matching them with other fighters. Maybe not Leon Edwards, but I think Leon Edwards, like I explained before, there's the other fighters are booked. MVP versus Thompson, I think, is the best stylistic matchup, not against Bullet and MVP. But I want to see all these English fighters. I want to see all these English fighters go. I don't know why I'm Irish. I'm fully on English. But yeah, these are my picks. Let's go through them. Tom Aspinall beats John Jones. Paddy Pimblett, I think Michael Chandler beats him. Arnold Allen beats Brian Ortega. Leon Edwards, I think, beats Joaquin Buckley. MVP beats Stephen Thompson. Murphy beats Emmett. Believe I 100% would put every penny I have. Nathaniel Wood would beat Kron Gracie. And then Sam Patterson versus Barlow. Not Gary Barlow. My heart says Sam Patterson. My brain says Barlow. But I'll go Sam Patterson. It isn't a clean sweep here because the Liverpoolian Scouse not English lad. Hey lad, is Scouse not English lad? Is he really English? He's Scouse. So he kind of loses it for us. But in all seriousness, you can be Liverpool's in England, so they can shout about Scouse not being English. But I do think it's kind of like a 60% chance Chandler will win, 40% chance Paddy will win. The only way I feel Paddy will win is if he submits Chandler. I just feel like Chandler's faced way better opponents. He also didn't look awful in his last fight. He survived 5 rounds against Oliveira. But no, he still has that power. He still has that cardio. He still has that freak fitness he has. I just think he gets it done, to be honest with you. Let me know down below who you believe will win these matchups and who else, English fighters wise, you would want to see. I just tried getting this off my face. I'm always worried when I use face paint. Why is it staying on my... So much water just came out my mustache then. Why is this staying on my face? Please, the love of God, get off. It was not worth the 7 views.